Welcome back to The Real Story. If you don't live in New York City, you may think what I'm getting ready to talk about doesn't affect you, but it does. There are almost 9 million people that live in New York City, which makes it the #1 city in America. It may be the #1 most important city in the entire world. Now, why am I talking to you about this if you don't live there? Well, I'm talking to you about it because what happens in New York City often starts a domino effect. It starts a trend across the entire country. So if you're one of the 332 million who don't live there, if you live in Boise, Omaha, Oklahoma City, San Diego, El Paso, let me tell you why you need to care what's going on there right now. They're having a mayoral race there to decide who is going to lead the #1 city in America, a city that has a $115 billion budget, and that makes them bigger than a lot of countries around the world. So if you've never been, and you may never go, let me tell you that the real story is it does affect your life. Right now, the flavor of the month there is someone called Zohran Mamdani. Now, this is somebody that, in my opinion, is a very dangerous candidate for mayor. Why? Because I think he is pushing an ideology that is cancerous, an ideology that could spread across this country and change what defines America. He could unleash an ideology that sounds really good if you say it real fast, so much so that people want to believe it. It could spread really, really fast. It could get out of control. Just wish something was true, like me wishing I had a full head of hair. But I don't, and I don't care how good you make it sound, it just isn't going to happen. Here are some of the headlines. Socialist New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani once rapped about his love for Hamas terror funding group. This is sick. Jews condemn Mandani for sharing Indian parody mocking Hanukkah. Zoran Mamdani, he checked that he was black on the Columbia application, but he's not. He's Indian. Now, what did you hear in those headlines? You heard that he's backing those that are financing a known terrorist group, and that he's lying on applications, and he's pushing socialism. Let's go through these one by one. Let's talk about his views on Jews and terrorists. He refused to condemn the position to globalize intifada. Now, what does that mean? The Arabic word intifada translates to uprising or shaking it off. And it has been used to describe periods of intense Palestinian protest against Israel, mainly in the form of violent protest. The first intifada was from 1987 to 1990, and the second intifada was from 2000 to 2005. And both of them were marked by violence. Many across the world hear that as a call for violence, terrorism, and anti-Semitism. Take a look.
I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech.
He has praised Hamas financiers. In a 2017 rap as Mr. Cardamom, and just FYI, the 5 were convicted of funding Hamas. He led an anti-Israeli boycott, organized BDS actions in college. Now, what is that? Boycott, divestment, and sanction. What he's doing in that is he's demanding that colleges boycott and that they divest themselves of any business, any investment, anything to do with companies, organizations that have to do with Israel, and that they sanction anybody that has anything to do with it. Now, he shared an anti-Semitic skit on his X account last year. This is last year. Comedian known as the Gita Brothers making fun of Hanukkah while wearing wigs and dressed in stereotypical Jewish clothes. This guy wants to lead the most Jewish city in America. In New York City, there are 1.4 million Jews, more Jews in New York City than anywhere on the globe other than Israel. He wants to run New York City like a socialist campus protest. Mandani also doesn't like the police. At one point, he wanted to defund the New York Police Department, creating the Department of Community Safety instead. Now, that would cost $450 million. He tweeted, "The NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety." He opposes incarceration even for violent offenders. Now, let me say that again. He opposes incarceration even for violent offenders. He says dignified work and community support will reduce crime. It's a great theory, but when you're talking about violent criminals, you've got a problem if you put these people back into an unsuspecting community of innocent people to be preyed upon. The $450 million for the Department of Community Safety is a drop in the bucket. His economic platform would cost $10 billion. Mamdani is a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialist of America. Let me talk about what he's promising. And this is where it sounds great. It's a good deal if you can get it. Universal health care, $5 to $7 billion a year. Free transport, $900 million a year. Just all the buses, everything, they're free. $900 million a year. Universal pre-K childcare, 200,000 publicly funded housing units. Free baby baskets for every new family. Triple the public housing budget. Get this, start a pilot program for government-owned and operated grocery stores across the 5 boroughs. Says everything would be half price at first. Now, this would kill the competition. There are tens of thousands of bodegas, small grocery stores around New York. No question, out of business. Just absolutely kill competition and quickly kill variety. Kill choice, because the government would decide what to put in those stores, which would be cheap at first. But what happens with monopolies? All of a sudden, they control the prices, they control the choices, and there you go. Now, he wants to declare New York City an LGBTQIA plus sanctuary city. He wants to eliminate billionaires. New York has a debt of $99.4 billion. So where's he going to get the money to pay for this? Well, take a guess. Tax the rich. A corporate tax hike from 7.25 to 11.5%, and a new 2% flat tax on millionaires, despite 125,000 high earners that have fled to Florida in recent years, taking $14 billion in income with them. You pull $14 billion out of a city, what do you think that does to the tax base? Now, Mandani is also accused of exploiting racial identity for personal gain. As I said, he checked both Asian and Black African American on his Columbia University application. He gamed the system by claiming an identity he didn't live. Mandani is Indian. He was born in Uganda, not Black, not African American, and he was not a U.S. citizen at the time. Columbia rejected him. His defense? He said he was, quote, capturing the fullness of his identity. Really? Capturing the fullness of his identity. The reality? He was gaming the system. It was racial opportunism, using identity for advantage. Representative Elise Stefanik calls him a radical, defund police, communist, raging anti-Semite. The Atlantic's Michael Powell compared Mandani's campaign to magical realism. He said he was exuberantly disconnected from actual budgets. And why would he? I'm looking into it now. I don't think he's ever actually had a real job. The bottom line, Mandani attacks capitalism, law enforcement, Israel, and Jews. He pushes freebies without a way to pay. He played identity games on a college application to gain privilege. And let me tell you something. You just simply don't restore dignity by telling people, we'll take care of you. We'll give you things. Do you think that makes people feel good about themselves? Do you think people want to be told you are not strong enough to take care of yourself? You know, we saw this back during the Depression. We saw this in Franklin Delano Roosevelt's era. He was the only person elected to presidency 4 times. There were some programs then to help people get on their feet, but he did something really important. If you look at people when they were standing in those food lines, standing in those soup lines, their heads were down, their shoulders were down. And part of the New Deal that he did was to put people back to work, rebuilding the infrastructure in America. And look at the pictures once that started happening. Then you saw men and women with their head up, their shoulders back, smiles on their faces. Why? Because they were observing themselves make it on their own. They were observing themselves working every day and bringing home food for their families. They had dignity. They were earning their way. New Yorkers don't want to be taken care of. They don't want to be told, we have to give you this, give you that. They're tough. They want to make it. They want to earn their way. Socialism may sound compassionate, but it kills work ethics. It kills the spirit. It kills dignity and self-esteem. Generational entitlement is not what you're looking for. People need the dignity of hard work. They need to observe themselves making it in the world, knocking down obstacles, overcoming things that stand in the way. New Yorkers are proud and strong, and this is the flaw in his plan. It sounds good at first, free stuff. But then you think about, they must really think I'm weak. They must really think I need to be taken care of. He's promising everything from free housing to free baby baskets to free child care, transportation, and groceries at half price. But old sayings get to be old sayings because they're profound, and there ain't no free lunch. This is all on somebody else's dime. This isn't leadership. It's ideology just dressed up as something everybody wants to hear. You could unleash a cancerous ideology that sounds good if you say it real fast, so much so people want to believe it. But it could spread really fast and be out of control. This is a radical activist running for mayor of the #1 city in America, and it's time for people to do critical thinking. If you listen to what somebody says and they tell you they are a socialist, they tell you they are an anti-Semite, they tell you they want to turn violent criminals back on the street, you better listen to what they're telling you, because that is the real story. Wherever you're getting the real story, make sure you subscribe and follow. I'll see you tomorrow. Whether it's talk of a Nobel Peace Prize or fears of World War III, one thing's certain: uncertainty rules the day. And when the world feels this unstable, your finances are on the line. If Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, oil prices could skyrocket just like the 1970s. That triggered inflation, gas shortages, and a weakening dollar. Wall Street's already tense. Goldman Sachs sees sustained recession risk, and JP Morgan warns of a potential oil shock. Add in $36 trillion in national debt, and the financial pressure is real. This isn't hype, it's a wake-up call. The time to act is now. That's why I trust Preserve Gold. When the world turns unstable, smart folks turn to gold and silver. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 in free silver with a qualified purchase. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today.